All right, it's just loading up. I'll let you know when we go ready to go live, and it should then pop up, and we should be on.
Okay.
There you go. I don't know why it's not showing my picture, but it's showing yours.
I was hoping for the other way around, but you know what? Well, we might have to make do with that.
Oh, for sure, for sure. So, with that being said, um, how long have you been into the fraternal order?
Uh, about 15 years or so.
15 years or so.
Yep.
And what drew you into being a Mason?
Both my parents were Masons. Their friends and my friends were Masons. And I had finished my PhD and I was bored. So I wanted something worthwhile to do. And
Uh-huh.
I figured since these people were good people that they probably had good reasons for being in Freemasonry.
Right. Oh,
So initially, that's it. I didn't have any big dreams. I didn't think I was going to do anything much. Um, I had no idea that Freemasonry was going to take me where it took me. Uh, that's an added bonus.
mm. Okay, so with that being said, it's gonna lead me into this next question. Is Freemasonry only for men?
Oh, heck no. No, 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 no. My mother was a Freemason. She actually initiated me. As I mentioned, my father is a Freemason. We were in lodge together. Um, in Europe, women have been Freemasons for a few hundred years. It's only in the United States that we think that there are no women Freemasons, or very few. It's there's actually quite a few of us in this world.
Okay, now so see, you know what? I keep trying to tell people that, and they be looking at me like, "No, a woman can't be a Mason." I'm like, "Yeah, they can. I know quite a few, and I know this one right here, and we've been talking for a while now,
Yes.
and that's the craziest thing, and how you and I sort of met. But even with that being said, you know, go ahead and let people know what lodge you're from.
So I'm from the Golden Journey Lodge number 9. That's with the George Washington Union.
And okay, so you said it was George Washington Union, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and my lodge is Golden Journey Lodge number 9.
Right. Okay. Okay. And you know what? I'm gonna change it a little bit because I remember when you and your dad came down, and and your father. That was funny. I'm not gonna kid you when you introduced your daddy as the I said your daddy, your daddy as the sovereign grand commander. How's he doing, by the way?
He's doing well. He's doing really well. Getting ready to step down, so he's very happy. But otherwise, doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Now, who's gonna be next up if he steps when he steps down?
Uh, I'm not 100% sure. I think, and I probably shouldn't say that on the air, but I think it's Dominique Arnoux, who's also a member of the Supreme Council of the George Washington Union. I
Uh-huh.
think he's going to be the one stepping up.
Okay. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. So you don't think you should be saying that, but you know what? But it's a beautiful thing that to be able to meet your dad, and he was spunky. I mean, at the time we met, he was spunky. I mean, he was like, okay, so what's next? Where we going after we leave lodge? What we headed to? What we gonna do? And to go out and have that fellowship, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So, and then the gentleman, the one we was just talking about before we went live.
Oh dear.
Yes, yes. Um, I'm trying to figure out where did I hear about him beforehand, and I was just trying to think about. I know of him, but to meet him was totally a great experience when he came to San Diego too. So,
He used to work for the California Grand Lodge, was a Mason at the California Grand Lodge.
mhm.
Maybe that's where you have met him. Then he's been with us for a few years now and is currently our Grand Secretary.
Okay, okay. That could be possible. That could be possible. And my thing would be with that being said, um, we have been talking, and let's talk about visitation for a second. Is that all right with you?
Sure.
Okay. So you and I both know that within the Masonic world, there's a lot of things that happens that is not necessarily seen by a lot of people, such as visitation. Wouldn't you say? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's true. That's very true.
I'm going to say this: there are individuals who are Masons in various jurisdictions that, whether you consider them regular, irregular, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of visitation that is happening that nobody knows about. You can track me, just follow me. You kind of see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
And I say that because talking with you and your experience and how you have been able to be in places that people necessarily wouldn't see you at, but now you have more of a welcoming amongst those particular brothers.
Okay, so visitation is an interesting subject because, as you know, it's seen very differently by very different people. For instance, I get to go to the Grand Orient of France regularly, anytime I want. It's a non-issue because we belong to the same kind of Freemasonry.
Mm-hmm.
We also, at least the George Washington Union, is very clear that once you're a Mason, it doesn't matter which kind of Freemasonry you come from. A Mason is a Mason, so we cannot deny you entry into our temples. As long
Okay.
as you're a Mason in good standing, you're more than welcome to join us. Now, the other way around is not necessarily true. So, and that's fine. We I have this conversation on a regular basis with many Masons who go, but you can't visit us. And I'm like, well, I don't necessarily want to visit you. I already have a hard enough time going to all my lodges. And, I may not have time to go to your meetings. Um,
Right.
and I'm perfectly happy where I am with my brothers and sisters. We have a lot of Masons who come to our lodges and say, oh, we will never tell whatever organization they belong to that they're coming. And so it's uncomfortable sometimes for me because I value very much my relationships with, members of the various Grand Lodges and around, but then again, I can't prevent those brothers from being curious to see what we're doing. And so I'm trying to find ways to make everyone happy, but I hope that in the end, we'll eventually get something more open than what we have now. Because visitation is an issue. We have, I will call them clandestines coming to us.
Well, the funny part is that I would say that you and I both know Masons in the on both sides, whether it be part of the California Grand Lodge or in our travels. We both know Masons from different parts of the world or just in the same circle that you and I ran in. And to be able to say that and then be able to meet each other and wherever we may be at in our travels, I think that's the beautiful thing in regards to Freemasonry that a lot of people miss out on.
I think that's a very valid point. I think personally, what I enjoy the most is the fraternity. We're all brothers and sisters. I know some will go, well, women can't be Freemason. Well, la di da, I don't care. It's like, in the end, if you're in trouble, I'm still gonna come help you. I'm
Mm,
still raising funds for you so that in the end, you can survive whatever you're going through. And I don't care if you consider me a sister or not. To me, you're always a brother.
mm.
So that's where, and eventually we're gonna get to the point where we're just so nice and cute that they, they're gonna have to go, okay, they're huggable, fine. Yeah,
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Um, in regards now the female Grand Lodge of California, what do you know about them?
Well, not much, not as much as I would like to know, because there's something happened to them and they're very low profile right now. So I haven't
Hmm.
been able to reach out to them or even spend any time talking to them. I would love to. I think it would be a wonderful thing. I'm eager to, but unfortunately, I believe I'm going to have to wait for them to come to me.
Okay.
So I know they're here. I just know they're really very much hiding right now.
Well,
Uh,
I had a chance not long ago to speak with their past Grand Master,
okay.
and in speaking with her, there are some things that are happening, and yes, they are very low key, but they're very much so active. You know,
Wonderful.
yeah, yeah, and I tried to get her to come on. I was like, "Come on, do this for me." She's like, "Brother Tony, at this time, she explained some things to me." And I said, "You know what? I appreciate it when that storm passed. You certainly we are welcome to pick up and have that conversation." She was like, "Yes, I'll do that." But right now, yes, they're low key right now. But I did a few years back have the opportunity to go to their public installation, which I found to be very beautiful, very intimate in the way the works was done, very direct, very poignant in their works, and I really appreciated the opportunity of being there. And with some of the guys, may I say, brothers from the Grand Lodge of California, some of the individuals from my jurisdiction was there. So it was that thing I think that really opened my eyes to female Freemasonry when I was first there. And I don't know if you know my good friend David Munoz, uh, past Grand Master for the Hispanic Grand Lodge of North America. Did I say that? Yeah. Um, in That was my first introduction into, hey, that's a female Mason. and, you know, and we who are Masons in this country, the funny thing is, for me, in being introduced, I wanted to go over and said, "You a Mason for real?" That was my first thought, which was so like really, and I had one female Mason say, "Yeah, the way you guys are initiated is primitive." I was like, "Oh." I started laughing. She said, "You guys do things primitive. It's you're not doing it right. It's primitive. It's barbaric." And I was like, "Oh my god." Uh, I laughed. She laughed, but it was a good icebreaker. It was
Sure.
a good icebreaker because I can imagine what most individuals would think in regards to the initiation, especially how we do it. And I'm just going to say how we do it as men, period. And I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm only speaking for where I'm at. Uh, and that's the thing. I'll be like, wow, okay, no, brother Tony, it's not like that. We don't do that. No. Mm-mm.
No, no. I get
So
that question a lot, actually. Male Masons always get a little worried when they go, "So, initiation." I'm like, "Of course you would ask about initiation." No, we don't disrobe. No, we don't do any of that. We remain, you know, modest in our in the way we do it, and there are ways of doing it, and it shouldn't be a concern. It's not for us. Because they're like men and women in the same lodge. It's like, yeah, and we all survive. It's like we're brothers and sisters, same as we're siblings. So once you get into lodge like that and you behave that way, then you're good to go. There's never any weird anything going on. By the way, I have a bone to pick with the California Feminine Grand Lodge. I was told that because of them, brothers were calling me brother. And I was like, I am not a brother. I may be many things, but I'm not a brother. Sorry. I'm like, I'm a
Oh wow.
sister. So they said, well, some women, they want to be called brother. I'm like, I certainly don't.
Hmm. I'm a sister.
I'm a sister. I look like one. I quack like one. I am one. So, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So what's your thoughts about the female Grand Lodge out of Washington D.C.?
Um,
Now these are the only ones I know. I know there's the one here in California. I know the one regarding New York and Washington D.C. Those are the only three that I know that's publicly, out there here in the States.
Anytime I see a women's Grand Lodge, whether it's the, various women's Grand Lodges or the Grand Lodge Feminine of Belgium or any other, it makes me happy to see
Hmm.
that women are putting themselves out there and they're making it known to the world that they are women Freemasons.
Hmm.
It makes my job much easier. So it makes me very happy. I don't know them personally. Obviously, I'm on the West Coast and I haven't had the opportunity to go to the East Coast yet.
Hmm.
I hopefully I will get to know them at some point. That's the idea. My goal in life. I have small, small goals. I want to unite us all.
No, no, sister. I know that your goals are not small. I know where you have traveled to, and I know you who you have sit with and been talking to. So let's not play that my goals are small, small goals.
Well, considering what needs to be done, it's a step in the right direction. That's
Right?
for sure.
Okay, yeah, let's say that because listening to you say these are small goals, I don't know. I don't know. Mm-mm. No, not the places you have been. And we haven't really talked about the places you have been.
Oh, well,
Oh, yeah, yeah, we haven't. Mm-mm.
no, 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 we haven't. It's
No,
true.
no.
Uh,
So, and I'm going to ask you, is that something we can or cannot?
I think we can. I think we can.
I mean, I
Well,
wouldn't want to. I'm gonna tell you, I wouldn't want to say or talk about it, and then we like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have. Maybe we shouldn't have. That sort of thing. So that's why I'm asking.
um, no, I have nothing to hide.
Okay. Well, let's talk. Well, let me bring this up. The times that you have spoken in front of the California Grand Lodge.
Okay. I have spoken very briefly. Basically, I get introduced as a woman Freemason. That causes a stir. It makes some brothers very happy and others a little more uncomfortable. And I don't say much in terms of in front of a whole assembly. Generally, just a few words about who I am. Generally, I was already introduced as the past Grand Master of the George Washington Union. And then it's more of a one-on-one or maybe a few Masons and me where they learn to, well, first they get used to me. I
Uh-huh.
think that's the thing. They have to get used to the idea that I'm not going anywhere.
Hmm.
And I've been doing that for a couple of years, and I'm still going to do that this year. I go to their retreats and I meet their members. I have lunch with some of them, and we talk about Freemasonry, and they are very surprised that sometimes I know more about Freemasonry than they do.
Mm.
Because I've been doing this a long time. I'm a 33rd degree, past Grand Master, um, and and I love Freemasonry. It's a passion for me. So I can talk about Freemasonry for hours.
Oh, yes, yes. So tell me, what rites do you practice in your Freemasonry?
So the for me, the most or the one that I've been practicing the longest is the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. At the George Washington Union and in one of my lodges, I also practice the French Rite, but I'm definitely not as well versed as Valdir or as any of my brothers and sisters who practice it more regularly than I do. But I've been doing the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite for 15 years, something like that. So for some time.
Okay,
And
so the rites, the ancient and step, the Scottish rite that you practice versus that which is here in the States, is that different or is that similar? What are we looking at?
so we start in the Blue Lodges. The ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. You have, I think in the US, the Scottish Rite is only for the higher degrees. If
Yes.
for us, we start the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite as apprentices. And then
Hmm.
we work our way up the Blue Lodges, and then we start the higher degrees. Same thing in the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite, which is pretty similar to yours. There are some differences. There always is. I mean, from one jurisdiction to the next, rituals are not exactly the same all the time. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, the main difference is that we start at the first degree and then go all the way up to the 33rd degree. And that takes us, I went as fast as humanly possible, and it still took me probably about 14 years to get all the degrees done.
Wow. Ah, see, I, I try to explain that to individuals because of okay, I'm going to say this. We who are in America per se, in our rites and ceremonies, is more on a question, on a Q&A basis. Whereas I would figure in your particular rites of ceremonies is really more of paperwork, is really more of knowing the works. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So the way we function is we have, of course, ritual like you do. We don't memorize our rituals, but we write papers. We write a lot of papers. And like for me to have gone from the first degree to the 33rd, I probably have written over 30 papers. No, yeah, a good, maybe around 40 papers. And when you have to write a paper about something, you really have to go in depth. It's not a one-page paper, it's about 1,500 words, so 4 pages about.
Hmm.
Um, University level type of papers generally something we don't require our brothers and sisters to have ever gone to college. That's not even something we care about, but
Hmm.
we want them to be able to express themselves. We help themselves do that, and that's how we function. For instance, from first degree we write 2 papers.
Hmm.
Then we get to the second degree, we write another 2 papers. And then once we get to the third degree, in order to be able to be accepted at the fourth degree, we have to write 2 more papers. And so forth and so on. So
Are we writing two paper per degree?
just about, yeah. Sometimes it's because I was so lucky and my dad was my warden, or depending on which level I was, he wanted to make sure that everyone knew that he didn't do me a favor, so I would get to write double the papers.
Gotcha. That's an interesting thing. I've actually talked to a couple of brothers who practice that right. You may know brother AJ. He was just,
AJ.
yeah, he was just there not long ago.
Oh, yes, he's from Georgia, is he?
Yes,
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 yes, yes, yes.
yes. Um, I'm really considering taking what you're sharing with me today and incorporate that over on this side. So then, when an individual begins the degree work, okay, so you are this particular degree. Now you got to write a paper on it. You got to do at least two papers before you go to the next degree because what I'm hearing from you is that causes you to go in depth in the degree work itself. It causes you to have to go read
Oh,
instead
yeah.
of doing the Q&A, the back and forth. What do you know about the degree? That's what I'm finding.
It works. It's not for everyone, but it works well for, well, for me at least. But it seems that my sisters and brothers, what we do too, when we write a paper, unless you're an apprentice, in which case we hear your paper in lodge, but we don't comment on the paper. But at the second degree and further down the line, when we present a paper, then that paper is discussed in lodge by the other members. And so everyone gets their salary because the person who presented gives you um, a paper that also brings their own, not only their research, but their own feelings about what they've researched, about what that degree means to them, that symbol, that, whatever they're writing about. So all the people who listen, even the older ones, like my dad, always gets something new out of hearing those papers. And then when he contributes, it's like, well, he'll say, one day I heard this paper where this person was saying this. It brings more life to the lodge, but also more knowledge because when you have other members or someone will have an idea when they hear what the person who's presenting is presenting, they'll go, huh, never thought of it that way. That means that to me now. And they'll share that in lodge. So we can have sometimes a discussion on one particular subject for a good half hour after the paper has been presented, where we all share, our feelings, what we thought, and it's a very rich environment. One more thing also, we have to stay at a minute for a minimum of 1 year per degree.
Oh, oh, you made me set up for that. Wait a minute, hold on, sister. Hold on.
Yeah. So
You said,
you're an apprentice for 1 year, you're a fellow craft for 1 year minimum, bare minimum. Uh,
mm,
and then you stay for the fourth degree because then the higher degrees is a little different in how it's set up. I think you stay for 2 years at the fourth degree. Then you stay 2 years at the 14th degree, and then you do everything from 5 to 14. And then 18th degree, I think another 2 years, and then 30th, 31, 32. You stay a couple of years at every degree after that, every main degree.
wow, okay.
So yeah, but even our apprentices stay a minimum of 1 year, a fellow crafts a minimum of 1 year. This way they have time to read their two papers, they have time to talk to their junior or senior warden and whoever else is doing their education. They have time to read. They have time to do all these things. And there is no rush because, they know they're not going anywhere for a year. Uh,
I'm going to say this. Your degree work, what I'm hearing, is more extensive than a lot of male colleagues. It is definitely more expensive. I know of brothers, and I'm quite sure you've heard, oh, we're going to do a 1 degree night, or you're going to be a master mason this weekend. I'm quite sure you've heard that. And to hear that and to know that it takes you almost 3 years to become a master mason versus 1 year or a year and a half. What's your thought on that?
I think we're used in our society, I think we're used to uh having everything quickly. For once in your life, we ask you to wait. We ask you to be patient. We ask you to take the time to understand and reflect. I think it's good. I think it's very good. Did I like it when I was going through it? No, I wanted to be a fellow craft after a few months because I had done all the reading and my fellow Masons were like, no, that's part of what you have to do now. You wait, you observe, you see, you learn your ways. You know, in Lodge we have a way of addressing one another and we have a way of speaking. Well, that's something that you have to sit with for a while before you can actually contribute. So our apprentices remain silent. Uh, in some, we're nice, so we do, after 6 meetings, they're allowed to speak sometimes. And then the fellowcraft, of course, they're more than welcome to speak because, you know, that's it. They're no longer apprentices. They've learned part of the ways. But just getting the culture of Freemasonry, getting into the habit of talking to the worshipful master, of, addressing the brothers and sisters in a certain way, of not addressing them directly, of, subduing your passions, of doing all these things. It's not something that we're, at least not me, I wasn't born that way. I'm half Italian. I just want to, blow up everything. It's like everything's a fight.
Oh my.
So, it takes yeah, it takes time to just be able to make all this your own so yeah, that you can become a true master mason.
And and listening to that, when you say wait with patience, you really mean that. It's like, yeah, you can't speak. What? Wait, what? No, you can't speak. You do your papers, you listen, and you learn. You can't speak. That that in itself is going to do either one or two things. If the person really wants to be a Mason, they're going to hang around. If they want it quickly at a microwave, they're going to leave.
Yeah. So we also have ways of making sure that our apprentices don't feel so frustrated. What we do is at the end of every meeting, we have what we call the agape, and we'll share a meal together. And during that time, they're more than welcome to share their feelings or whatever they heard. Sometimes when we go from what we call labor to refreshment, when they're in refreshment, then they can actually take the floor and discuss things. So there are moments where they're allowed to speak, but in a lodge meeting proper that's styled, then no, they have to be quiet. They,
Well, I'm going to say this for those who are just joining us live on the YT channel. I want to say thank you for tuning in, and definitely our guest for the evening is Past Grand Master Natalie. Um, she's on one today, and I'm really learning a lot as far as how they practice their degree work, which is the Scottish Rite degree work. In saying that, I'm learning myself that some things that you were saying maybe we can pick up on this side and then apply to our initiates because, as I said earlier, when we bring them in, they're usually within 6 months they're going up to the next degree depends on how well they answer their proficiency. Whereas when you are dealing with those same enter apprentices, you're saying, look, you need to be quiet, listen, and learn, and not. And I said that pretty rough, but you need to kind of like wait with patience, learn, and then you're going to be able to present at least two papers in order for us to make sure that you are prepared to go into the next degree. That is how your proficiency work. Am I right? Where am I at in
you're
the basic?
correct. You're
Okay.
correct. We can also ask questions, so that if our members go to other Grand Lodges within our kind of Freemasonry, then they can be tiled. If they're tiled, they're going to be asked questions. They have to be able to answer those questions. Sometimes just being in Lodge for a year or two will give you all those answers anyways, if you pay just a little bit of attention to your ritual. But we do have a series of questions that we can ask. Generally, we don't,
Mhm.
because we've been working with our members. They have presented their papers. We know that they've thought about that stuff quite a bit before they move on to the next level. So it's not a quick way. It's not for us, Freemasonry is time is irrelevant, so take your time. Take your time.
Absolutely. And you said something here where you stated that, hey, when they get ready to travel, when you travel, and I would suspect that a lot of Masons here in this country don't believe that you, Natalie, Sister Natalie, can actually go visit other Masonic lodges per se.
Oh, I travel quite a bit. Actually, my own jurisdiction has lodges in Canada and on the East Coast, but I also travel to Europe. I go to Canada regularly. And I travel to Europe and even in the States. Thankfully, we have in California, we have two lodges from the GODF, the Grand Orient of France. And that's open to me because I'm bilingual. So
Did you freeze up on me? You
uh
can't, Natalie. I think you froze up on me for a second.
oh no.
Yeah, you froze up on me for a second. You were speaking in regards to your visit to France. You was talking about France.
Yes, there are many, many, many Grand Lodges there where I'm actually welcome and even encouraged to attend. I cannot visit them all. So I do my best. As you know, I was recently elected at CLIPSAS as vice president for North America, which I haven't had the real chance to enjoy quite as much as I would have liked. But that also allows me to travel in the United States and Europe. Um, and visit quite a few brothers. And when it comes to fraternity, we're pretty decent. It's not only an American thing.
So tell me this: your visit to over in Europe, what is that like for you? Because you've been traveling that road for quite a while. So being bilingual as you are, so what is that like for you to enter into those particular lodges and be able to have that fellowship?
I think I feel very lucky. I think it's pretty unique to be able to have such a broad opportunities when it comes to Freemasonry. Um, I've created friendships that come directly from the brotherhood, sisterhood. I'm not quite sure, siblinghood. I'm not quite sure what to call it. But this is created work relationships when it comes to Freemasonry. People that I talk to, um, more often than I talk to you,
Mhm.
actually, sadly, where I have, great relationship and we discuss anything about Freemasonry, but they've also become close friends.
Right,
And that's something that is very special to me because if I hadn't been a Freemason, if I hadn't traveled, I would not have these friendships right now.
right, and I think that's the beauty of it all. And I think a lot of us don't take advantage of Freemasonry in such a way to where it says to be able to travel into foreign countries and to receive wages. And when I say that, what is wages to you? Then I'm going to explain it. What is it to me? Because I know a lot of people say, "Oh, traveling foreign countries, receive master. What is that like?" I mean, what is that for you? And like I said, I'm going to explain it. What is it for me?
So when I say that I've received my salary, it means that I met Masons and I learned sometimes it's just their ways, sometimes it's a paper, but I learned something new. My world, my inner world is a better one because I met them. So that's when I say I've received my salary. It's not a wage increase. Sometimes it is, but a wage increase is something different. And it can be very enriching as well. to be able to watch their rituals, see how they do it, and so on. One of the really probably more emotional memory, more that really touched my heart and where I feel I received my salary is when I went to uh, a Clipsas meeting in Portugal. And they were about 300 Masons there. Of those, some spoke Spanish, some spoke English, some spoke French, some spoke Italian, German, you name it, it was there. And during the meeting at the end, there is always a lodge meeting, a ritual lodge meeting. And during that lodge meeting, since we didn't speak the same language, most of us, we had a huge chain of union, which is a big part. It's probably my favorite part of the ritual in the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. And we all held hands and listened to some music and just holding hands, sharing energy. And imagine 300 Masons holding hands in fraternity.
Well, see, you said something when you said fraternal chain, if I'm not mistaken,
Chain of
a
union.
chain of union. A
Uh-huh.
lot of lodges here don't necessarily do the chain of union. I would say
Yep.
my first experience with the chain of union was several years ago, and you are right about the energy, about the vibration. That when you do that, it is something special.
It
Definitely,
really
definitely.
is.
And you're saying 300 Masons in that. I'm like, wow. And there was only like 25 of us when we did it, and it was nice then. So I would imagine what their energy really felt like at that time.
Yep. It was something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. I don't know if I'll ever experience something like that again, but that day, even if we didn't understand each other, verbally, we understood each other. We understood the fraternity. We understood the energy that we were sharing. We understood all that. We just, for a few minutes, we just understood each other. Nothing else mattered. And that is huge. That is something that I wish all the Masons of the world would at least experience at least once in their life. I think it should be a regular practice. It's part of ours. We have it at the end of every meeting before we close the lodge. We have a chain of union, and that makes it so special to
Well,
me.
I would say this: the thing is that a lot of people really miss out on what masonry really is because of their narrow-mindedness in regards to masonry, especially here in the United States. I hear brothers all the time talking about, oh, there's no such thing as a female mason, blah blah blah. And I'm like, if you only knew, you might be even talking to one that don't even know it, because they don't necessarily come out like we do. They're not flashy with the rings and the necklaces and all of that. So there are times where you may be talking to a female mason and not even know it. So I just really look at it from that point of view, and how masonry is, because I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful to where individuals of different races in every creed can actually have that one thing in common, that they respect, and they can come together. Now, let me be honest. I've had my issues with, you. I, I've had my issues. I say what I say, but I enjoy the craft, and I enjoy all that the craft has to offer. So yes, I want that for my next brother. I want that for my next sister. I want everyone who comes into Freemason to truly enjoy everything that it has to offer, and stop limiting themselves to a mindset that was somehow been ingrained in us in such a way to we can't see the bigger picture of what masonry is really all about. Because, as you said, traveling over into Europe, you're going to find those sister lodges, those co-ed lodges, you're going to find that there more so than you're going to find any place else. And I think the biggest asset to Freemasonry is the mere fact of what it brings to a person's life and what a person can bring to Freemasonry.
Yep.
And I think when you're able to see it the broad picture, it really opens up the door. And that leads into the conversation in regards to the Grand Lodge of England and its assistance with the female Masons there. What is your opinion regarding that?
I think it's a very good start. I think we also need to be able to understand that we don't all want the same things from Freemasonry. And people, especially male Masons, tend to think that us women are out to come to their meetings and that we're eager to do this and that we're going to destroy their peace and quiet. And it's not that. As I said at the beginning of the show, I hardly have time to go to all my meetings. So, but I think what needs to what we need to understand is that there should be Freemasonry for all male Freemasonry. That's fine. And then all female Freemasonry, and that's fine too. And then also co-gender mix Freemasonry, and that's okay too. So I feel that whatever the Grand Lodge of England is doing is a good start, but we should all respect each other no matter what kind of Freemasonry we choose to practice. Freemasonry is such a huge, beautiful world that everyone should find its own place in it.
And what you just said, that everyone should find their own place in it. Now that leads me into this one. In regards to, and I know we hear it all the time. Oh my goodness, regularity. You're irregular. You're this. You're that. You and I have had these conversations. But with that being said, and being able to break down those barriers to where you or myself or anyone else can go freely and participate in Freemasonry and enjoy the camaraderie, and as you said, receive those wages. A lot of individuals don't understand that when you say receive the wages, and you said something earlier in regards to that. And what I find for me in receiving the wages is really listening and learning and bringing back something different than that I have on my own, and bringing it, adding it to me as a person. Because I can say this within the when I visit other lodges and they did the fraternal offering, we don't do that in what we would say our blue lodges, but in their opening close to the closing ceremonies, that is something that was done. And that wasn't something I was used to. And they say, even if you don't have a fraternal offering, you can drop a note inside, or a prayer or something of sorts, and it goes around. And I was like, oh, okay. And then to notice that we don't have a grand orator, but they had a grand orator. So I'm watching. I'm like, what is a grand orator? I have an idea, but to see it at work is different. And and I take those same things back, and I say, hey man, I went to a lodge, and brother, they had a grand orator. This guy can move about the lodge, and he can do this and do that. Whereas in my lodge setting, there's no, you can't do that.
Yeah,
So for you, you have a grand orator, correct?
we do.
See, that's what I'm that's what I'm trying to bring together, to be able to show that the differences in Masonic practices, because a lot of people believe that it's done one particular way and this is it, and it's not. It is so many different rites of ceremonies that are out there, and it just depends on what your jurisdiction, your lodge, or your Grand Lodge is practicing.
You may or may not be aware of that. I know that a lot of male Masons are not. My lineage, the George Washington Union, comes from the Grand Orient of France. We have the same DNA with them. They started us. And the Grand Orient of France is older than the California Grand Lodge. by a
Oh,
mile. They were created finally in 1773. Their
wow.
lodges that created it, where one of them is as old as 1720. And they came together, made the Grand Orient of France in 1773, and I think the Grand Lodge of California is 1800s, mid
Okay.
mid 1800s. So my lineage is actually older than the California Grand Lodge.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm watching my chat group. I'm watching the chat, and I believe that that's going to set some fireworks off for you to say your lineage from the Grand Lodge of France,
The Grand
uh,
Orient of France. Yeah, Grand Orient.
the Grand Orient of France, is yeah, it's older than that of California. Ooh,
Mhm.
ooh,
It's a fact. And actually, it was I was reminded of that fact by the Grand Secretary of the California Grand Lodge. We were discussing, how the brothers are sometimes a little iffy about me talking to them and so on. And then again, that's getting the Grand Lodge has been wonderful. So it's become a lot easier. But he said, just so they know, I tell them that, the Grand Art of France, that where you come from is older than the California Grand Lodge. And I looked it up, and not that I didn't think it was right, but I didn't remember exactly the when the Grand Art of France was came to be and so on. And it's, I believe, 1773, which is much older than the California Grand Lodge.
that
They have more members than the California Grand Lodge too.
Oh, repeat that.
They have more members. They have about 50,000 members at the GODF, the Grand Orient of France.
Yeah, 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 yeah. The Grand Lodge of California membership has somewhat fallen. Um,
They're at about 40,000 right now.
right, right. I would say this: the past Grand Master of the California Grand Lodge, and we both know them. You and I both know him. I would say in my sitting and speaking with him, uh, I found him to be a very pleasant, respectful, and very straightforward guy. I enjoyed his conversation, and yeah, and he served California Grand Lodge well. I can say that based upon
Yeah.
uh, the relationship and the time that he and I have spoken.
He's an amazing person. He's a true brother. I have great respect for him. I miss him. I miss his wife too. She's wonderful. But he has done an amazing work. Yes, you're right, at the California Grand Lodge, on behalf of all their brothers, and also to help us bridge whatever we can accomplish together, and make sure that we come together. He's a wonderful man. He's really amazing.
Oh yeah, certainly, certainly. I was in Long Beach at the lodge in Long Beach when they for the creation of the first Hispanic Lodge of California, where they opened in their own ceremonies. They opened in their own language. They did the works in their own language, which was beautifully done. And to see that, I was invited by the incoming junior warden of that lodge, and to be there for that fellowship with those gentlemen, with those brothers, was special for me, because I had that opportunity to speak with other brothers of the craft for that new lodge, and I received their pen. The Grand Master of California has a special pen that he gives out when visiting or coming across individuals. He has that special pen too. So to be able to receive those tokens meant a lot for me.
Are you talking about the lodge that also practices the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite by any chance?
I believe so. I think it's Cortina. I want to say Cortina Lodge something. It's a brand new lodge that was just created. I want to say Oct- June, October, something like that. Middle of last year, something like that.
So it's probably not. I was lucky enough to be allowed to go to one of their exemplification at Grand Lodge. And it was one of their Spanish speaking lodge who was doing an initiation exemplification in Spanish. And it was the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite.
Okay, so what they have done is they have allowed them to practice both
Okay.
the American and the Scottish Rite. So yes.
Okay. So I did see them last year in maybe June, maybe May or June. I can't remember when I was at one of the retreats, the Grand Lodge retreats. And that was a treat. Interestingly enough, their grandmaster at the time, Sean, um, actually told them that I would be attending, because, there was, again, me and all men. So it gets sometimes a little uncomfortable, but for everyone. And he said, well, Natalie actually practices this right, so she probably knows more about this initiation than we all do. And at the end of the meeting, at the end of the exemplification, some came to me and said, so, was it very familiar to you? And my answer was, it's like meeting a long lost cousin.
Wow.
I knew exactly what was going on. I don't speak Spanish, but I knew exactly what was going on. Were there differences? Yes. Um, but it was not enough of a difference that I would not recognize the ritual. The
Okay.
ritual was my ritual.
I,
And
I like that.
yeah, so that was a very special moment too.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, if anybody want to call in, wait a minute, let me get permission first. Is it okay to take questions from someone who wants to call in? Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Okay, all right. So if you want to call in, I want to hold on just a second. I'm back. I'm back. So if you want to call in, that number is going to be 619-286-0642. If you want to call in, and if you have questions or something you want to ask, you're certainly welcome to do so. I think that me trying to keep up with what I'm reading in the chat, I'm like, I can't keep up with it. It keeps moving on me. So I'm going to put in the chat the phone number 619-286-0642. So if you want to call in and you have a question, you're certainly welcome to do so. So the number's been put in the chat. If you want to call in, you have a question or something, certainly you're welcome to do it. And I want to send a big shout out to Mickey, Victor, Stevens, Brother Gary, a Wishful Master out of True Kinsman in Las Vegas. Um, who else is up in here that I know? Polo, what's going on with you? Uh, Brother Sylvester, Chili, what's happening? Brother Johnson, Brother Will, Brother Marcus. Just to those in the chat whose name I've called out, certainly it's good to have you in the chat. If you have questions you want to call in, please go ahead and do so, because I'm seeing the chat and maybe I don't know the question that somebody else wants to ask. So if this is that opportunity that you can do that, let me guess, she's a Mason. Yeah, she's a Mason. She's a Mason. Certainly she is. All right, Brother Calvin, how you doing? We are much older than 1773. Actually, we were originated in 1728 when the first lodge from the original Grand Lodge of England was established. Oh my, that's from Brother Calvin.
So, Brother Calvin, I was talking about the California Grand Lodge, which is different. The
Oh yeah,
California Grand Lodge was started in 1850 something.
okay.
You're welcome to fact check me on that. And you're right about the Grand Lodge of England, and the Grand Orient of France was actually started by expats from England and Scotland, more specifically, who started the lodges in France.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, that I didn't know that, but learning something here. So once again, if you want to call in now, I don't want nobody to say they didn't have an opportunity. The number's in the chat if you want to call in. So hello, brother Slaughter of Chicago, Illinois. Greeting to you, brother Roosevelt. How you doing? We've been talking about this. Brother Charles, what's going on with you from Louisiana? So there's a lot of people who are peeping in. They're putting stuff in the chat. I want them to call and ask the questions because I remember sitting and talking with you. Hey, whatever came to mind, I wanted to ask. I wanted to know because I didn't want to pass up this opportunity and say you had it and then you didn't ask the question, or maybe you felt that it was not going to be the right question to ask. Well, it's never the right question to ask when you don't know the answer. You know, my thing is to ask and then listen. You
Yeah.
know, because I'm gonna tell you this, Sister Natalie. I'm going to my next meeting. I'm gonna bring up the fact that we should the inter apprentice shouldn't speak. They should do at least wait a whole year before they get initiated into the next degree after they have done two papers. You say
They're gonna hate me. They're gonna hate me. They used to like me. They don't like me anymore.
how many pages you say that paper? How many pages you say that was? I think you said it was like um,
Four
three,
pages.
four
Four
pages.
about yeah, 4 pages, about 1,500 words.
Oh yeah, yeah. You need to go study this degree and write a paper on it, and then
Yeah.
call it back. So,
So
what is your interview process like? If that's okay to ask.
sure. Um, so we have three master masons meet with the candidates or the profanes, and then they get asked. We have a list of questions, generally general questions, and questions about the economy and the world, various things like that. Sometimes religion. We mention to them that we only ask once. It's just so that we get to know them. They get to ask us questions as well. Oftentimes they have gone through me before. They were vetted. So once they get to the interview process, it's hopefully just to confirm that I didn't do anything wrong. And then after that, once they have done these interviews, then we report to the lodge the reports that have been written by the brother or sister who's done the interview, is read in lodge. And then we go through, that's something that I don't think you guys have. We go through, or the candidate goes through the blindfold test.
Okay.
And what the blindfold test is, after we've read the what we call inquiries, the interviews, they come into the temple blindfolded. They sit on a chair, and we get to ask questions. Sometimes there are things that weren't clear in their interviews. So we get to ask confirmation. This is our final chance to basically make sure that we are letting the right people in. And when we're done, then we have them leave the temple, we remove their blindfold, and we tell them that whatever happened in there needs to stay between us.
Right.
And then the lodge votes on whether to accept them or not. Once the vote is done, because we're not mean, most of them are accepted.
Right.
And not all. I've seen a few, not that many over the years, but a few have not, but mostly they get accepted. And because by the time they get to be voted on, they've been vetted so many times that, you know, and then we tell them that they've been accepted or not. If they haven't been accepted, then we tell them why, so that they have a chance to better their application. and they can come back later on once they've done that. And if they're in, then we try to schedule their initiation within a month or two of them being accepted.
Well, I'm offline. I'm going to tell you which ones I'm going to keep to myself. I'm
Okay.
which ones that, yeah, I like that. I'm going to use that. I'm going to let you know which ones they're going to be, because you
Okay.
put up you yeah, you said some good things right there. I likes that. I likes that. It may take some changes to happen. It may take some amendments and some motions and things like that. But I'm actually going to bring that forth at my next lodge and say, hey, look, I think this will benefit us. I think the craft would like this if we did it this way, something different to bring in that uniqueness to your lodge, because a lot of American lodges around about do it the same way. Yeah, we go visit. Yeah, we talk about, do you believe in God, your point of view. We do those little nuanced things, but the lighter part one, where you actually bring them into the lodge and they're blindfolded and you do your thing there too. I think that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat right there. So
I
yes.
think it adds a dimension to the whole process, because they're uncomfortable. They're being led by someone, but they're walking blindfolded into a temple they don't know. They don't know what it looks like. They don't know the people. They have to trust that the people around them are obviously, not going to hurt them. I remember when I was a worshipful master, and I was one in various lodges for 7 years. So, I've had my share, don't want to do it again. I would always start by saying, please remember that we've all been in that chair and we all survived. So I'll start with the first question and I'll make it easy. And then I would ask them something really easy that, they could answer without even thinking about, and that would be enough to relax them. But see, it puts them in a frame of mind that's a little uncomfortable. So if they were going to lie about something, it's not so easy once you're in that chair.
Mm. Well, if you want to call in, I'm gonna say this number is already in the chat. I don't have to answer the question. You can answer the question yourself if you want to call in. That number is going to be 619-286-0642. You're certainly welcome to call in right now while the line is open. And you can ask that question you want to ask the sister. Brother Calvin Brumont, I see you hitting hard in the chat. Brother Brumont said Masonry in the United States versus continental Freemasonry is more like a social club, whereas whereas
Ooh.
uh,
You said it, not me.
so I'm like, oh, okay, all right, let it be known. Let it be known. So once again, if you want to call in before we go, because we've been on here now for almost an hour and a half, something like that. We've been rolling. If you call in, that number is 619-286-0642. If you want to call in while she's here, because when she's gone, it's going to be hard to catch you. You just heard the lady say she likes traveling. So she likes Canada. She likes Europe. Who knows what she's going to be? So you better get your questions in now. This conversation points out how, hold on. I think that's someone right there. They called the wrong number though. Brother Byers. Hey, are you calling to ask a question right now? Because I am live. All right, then. Okay. All right. Appreciate it. So once again, that was the wrong number for someone to call. Man, come on, get it right now. If you're going, the rites was started in France. Okay. So which is the Scottish Rite here in America versus the Scottish Rite there in France? Which one is older? Is the one that we practice here, is that considered an American Scottish Rite, or the one practiced the Grand Orient of France, is that considered the Scottish Rite?
It comes from the same place, from France. Our brother Valdir would be so happy to answer that question. And the French Rite was actually the first rite, and then came the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. But as far as I know, that's so depending on whom you ask. I should rephrase this because some say that it came initially from Louisiana, some say that it came from the islands, but the one that we use now, the one that, as far as I know, that the Grand Lodge uses comes from France.
Okay. So what do you know? Someone asked the question, what do you know about the Jacobite Rite? Jacobit Rite, Rite?
Not much.
No, okay, okay. Are you no? Or what about the House of Stewards?
Are we talking history now? Um,
I,
was it the
I, I
1500s,
couldn't tell you.
England?
I couldn't tell you. Someone is putting it in the chat, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I'm not familiar with that rite or the House of Stewart. So
I
you
think
know,
I think they're
maybe
referring to Scotland.
okay. Uh,
Um, but that would have to be more specific.
mhm.
Um, because unfortunately, the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite, it's not Scottish. So,
This is from Mike Longston. Langston, I'm sorry. He said that this conversation points to how broad Freemasonry is across the world. In America, we get caught up on jurisdictional landmarks, but everyone doesn't practice the same. What's your thought on that?
it's very true. It's very true. Even within Grand Lodges in the United States, I had that conversation with Alan Casalou there, the Grand Secretary of the Grand Lodge, a few days ago, and he was saying that every Grand Lodge has its own rite. Even though it's the same rite, there are differences in the way the rituals are written and performed. So I
Yeah,
think this is even more true over the world.
and I would say this: you traveling abroad and having the opportunity to visit a variety of Masonic lodges. Your thoughts on that as far as the fellowship. What is your thoughts on that as far as the fellowship?
Um, what do you mean?
I mean to say that I would say because it seems no, it is that uh, uh, Freemasonry abroad is different than that here in America. So how you being received there versus being received here?
Oh, well, it's so much easier there for me. Here I'm always walking on eggshells unless I'm within my own type of Freemasonry, in which case it's very easy. I don't have the same, well, granted, you have idiots everywhere, so that's but yeah, I think it's much easier in Europe for me to travel than it is here. I have more limited options. When I travel here, I know I will not get to go to a lodge meeting, which is fine. When I meet brothers, it's really for the fraternity, and not because I intend to go to their lodge meetings. When I go in Europe, it's less for the fraternity, even though there is that too. But I get to go to many more lodge meetings. Um,
I
does that
would.
answer your question?
It does. So since the line, I'm having issues with the phone line, you're certainly welcome to call this number here. Please call 619 985-1184. You'll see that in the chat. You're welcome to call that number and we can continue to have this conversation. Look, I ain't got long, and I know Sister Natalie got some other stuff she needs to be doing. It looks like the sun is getting ready to set on you outside, or has it already set?
It has, it has. It's dark now.
Dark now? So it lets you know we've been on here for a minute.
Yeah, just about.
So look, if you're going to call, you're certainly welcome to call. That number is 619-985-1184 is the number that you can call right now if you choose to. All right? So, is a belief in God a mandatory landmark in your workings?
No, we have absolute freedom of conscience, uh, um, which means that you are welcome to believe in God, but you don't have to. It's between you and your conscience, and we don't want to know.
Hmm.
Absolute freedom of conscience.
Wow. Girl, sis, we gonna continue this conversation offline because I'm getting some stuff from you today. So someone asks, have you ever encountered any masonry mason enthusiasts, and how did you handle them? Hold on just a second. All right, greetings. Who am I speaking with?
Are you speaking with Brother Slaughter, who is a member of the Grand Lodge of Illinois from the great city of Chicago, Illinois?
All right, greetings, Brother Slaughter. How's everything going with you?
Oh, everything's going good. Happy New Year. It's been a while since we got a chance to talk. I came in kind of on the tail end of this. I came on, just noticed that you were live about 10 or 15 minutes ago, and I had to say this conversation is very, very, enlightening. And I guess I had a question as to how, with
Go ahead.
the sister.
Hello.
How do the because maybe I missed it. How do the brothers, let's just say, or is your particular
Still live.
jurisdiction
Hold on.
recognized by the
call me
Grand
back in about
Lodge of London and
2 minutes. Somebody else is
Ireland?
talking right now. Okay. I apologize. Somebody else had called in. But can you hear me okay there, bruh?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Sister Natalie, were you able to hear him?
No, no, I'm sorry. Would you mind repeating your question?
Okay. Go ahead and repeat that question for me one more time, bruh.
Yeah, I was wondering, how, like, when it comes down to female Freemasonry, how does the Grand Lodge of London receive you?
When it comes,
I would not know because I've never tried, but I would assume that if I were part of their, and I'm not part of the Grand Lodge Feminine of England. So I don't know. I've never tried. Maybe it's something I should try. I
can't pass you either.
so that's one more challenge. Thank you for giving it to me.
I was wondering, are female lodges like recognized by the Grand Lodge of London now?
I know that some are. They're the Grand Lodge of yes, the Grand Feminine Grand Lodge of England is, and I believe there is another one. I'm not. I haven't traveled to England, so I'm not privy to how they would react to me. Um, it's an interesting question. I am more of a continental Mason to start with. So that means that if I want to go to the Grand Orient of France, I'm welcome there. We actually have a treaty of friendship with the Grand Orient of France. We have treaties of friendship with probably about, I want to say 30 or 40 Masonic bodies worldwide, plus all the ones that clips us. So that makes quite a few. And in France, yeah, I can walk almost into any lodge meeting, and as long as I prove that I am a Mason, which I can easily do, then they have no problems with me.
It just goes to show you how broad Freemasonry, I guess, really, is. Thank you for your time and everything, and thank you, Brother Muhammad, for your show and for your leadership in this whole thing as well.
Hey, I appreciate that, bro. How's everything been in Chicago for you?
Cold.
You know, a couple of other brothers from our lodge, from our jurisdiction or whatever, who also know you. So everything is good with all of us.
You made me laugh on that one. I can't lie. I can't lie.
You know, quite a bit of us and everything. It's like, I'm not going to call any names, but
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 people I know who know you from my jurisdiction.
I tell you what. You this number that you just called, keep it. Let me tell you why. I'm gonna be there if everything goes well in February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and light apart. Maybe we can break bread.
Oh yeah. And plus, I don't know if you saw my number and everything pop up on when I called or anything. But if you did, you could keep it and put it under my name. You just have to try to call me if you come here to Chicago or whatever. I would love to find a time and opportunity to actually meet you in person.
Okay. Well, let's try to make that happen.
Okay, man. I appreciate that.
Hey, appreciate you and thanks for calling.
Oh, no problem.
All right. So that line is now open. If you want to call in again, 619-985-1184. I was having problems with my other line. We got some rain in California. You know, we should have had that rain a couple of weeks ago. God knows we needed it weeks ago, and now we're just getting it. And but we got it. I'm thankful for it, and hopefully that can help the firefighters in other areas of the state that are dealing with, be it big fires or small fires. So that's good. So if you want to call in again, that number is 619-985-1184. I can take your call right now. The brother just called in a few minutes ago. Please do call back. You're welcome to do that. Somebody put in here, this is dangerous work.
Yeah, how so?
I'm just saying. And then someone says, they appreciate the channel. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, yeah, you're certainly welcome to call back in. 619-985-1184. We're gonna be on here a little while longer. It depends on Sister Natalie. What you got? Is it okay to be on for a little while longer?
Sure. If I'm more than happy to share, hear comments, answer questions. I'm open.
Yeah, it's we have been planning this for a long time.
We have.
You'll be like, Brother Tony, just let me know. All right, I'll let you know. Let me know when you're ready, okay? You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. And we've been like hitting and missing. And today, well, this past weekend, it really just boom. Today was the day. And I'm grateful for your time, your energy, your great smile, to know that your dad is doing well. And I can appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I'm going to say this. I appreciate the fact that you have added to my Masonic journey. And I can tell you exactly how you've added. Because what happens a lot of times, hello? Greetings. Hold on just a second. All right, Brother Williams, what's your question?
To the speaker, great presentation and Brother Hawkins, great providing this platform. So there's the idea that in co-masonry that the women over time have been the ones who, ironically, pushed more for the term brother to remain the same versus sister. And I was wondering if to know how to address you to say, well, I appreciate being able to attend and learn so much. If it's not too much of a personal question, do you use does your particular order, the Grand Orient, use brother as well, or is a sister the appropriate way to address you? As a brother, and then when women were allowed in Freemasonry, I understand there was an attempt of brethren to say, well, you guys remember this Freemason here is a sister by gender, and then the women were, in so many terms like, no way, let's stick to brother, and so brothers stuck. Is that the same? I'm in the Masonic Philosophical Society, which is in the Freemasonry, and yes, we have Brother Katie's and Brother Myers, and, Brother Patrick's too, etc. But everyone's a brother regardless. Is this the same? Is that just the same way to address you? And that's my question.
No, we address by gender, so I'm Sister Natalie. I was telling Tony earlier today that I have a bone to pick with with some of my sisters who asked to be addressed as brother. It's like, I am not a brother. I'm sorry. I am a sister, and that's my gender, and I that's what I go by. And I get to answer that question quite a bit. I have some brothers from the Grand Lodge of California who've come to me and say, "So do I call you brother?" And I looked at myself and I said, "Well, I'm sorry, no, I'm a sister." So, and I really want that because I think that if I were to be called brother, it would negate the fact that I am a woman in Freemasonry. So for me, it's important to be called a sister. But, as I said, I've been called worse. So if you must call me a brother, so be it.
Awesome. Thanks. I love that. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're
You're
quite
welcome.
appreciate it. All right, brother, you can go ahead. You're up next.
Okay, my question is, did you guys get your charter and warrant from the Grand Lodge of France?
Grand Orient of France. Yes.
Okay, so you know that the Haitian Federation of Masons, they actually go 33 to 96. Are you guys under the same degrees as the Haitian Federation of Masons?
We go 33 degrees.
You go 33 to 96.
No, just 33 degrees. The Grand Orient of France only goes to 33 when it comes to the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. If you're talking about the Memphis Mizraim, then it's another, and I believe they go up to 99. But don't quote me on that because that's really not my area of expertise.
Okay. And last question, how do you feel about being you said you're a master mason, right?
I am and Past Grand Master, yes.
Oh, you're a grandmaster.
She said
I
past grand.
was.
Oh,
Yeah, I was.
Okay. Have you ever been to any, because I kind of got mixed up on the broadcast earlier. Have you been to any lodges in America under the Grand Lodge of England?
No.
So I guess we would consider you guys clandestine?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said. You were breaking up on me, and it might be my internet, so
Are you guys labeled, do you feel like you're labeled clandestine here in America? Like
oh, do I feel clandestine? No, I'm very much right here. So, so no, I don't hide. I'm not, well, you can call me whatever you want. That's fine with me. But I think one day we'll have to be past those labels. I come from my DNA is over 200 years old, so as old as yours if you're a Mason. So I don't feel clandestine at all.
Well, I personally think that it needs to be both energies in there. If anybody knows anything, you would know that male and energy needs to be in there. I was
Thank you.
told accepted over here because the men didn't want the women. They wanted the women at home. They didn't want the men in the lodges with them. So that's why it wasn't accepted here in America.
You might be right.
Now,
You may be right. It's changing though.
contact with a lady, and I guess there's a lodge in Denver that has females and men. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, they're the co-masons, I believe.
Yeah. Are you them?
No, I'm George Washington Union. We have talked to them in the past, but we are not them. There's also another larger obedience or Masonic body in the United States called LDH, Le Droit Humain. And we were also in contact with them, and also the Grand Orient of France has lodges in the United States, and we're also in contact with them. But we don't have a treaty of friendship with the co-masons.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was good talking to you. I don't have that much to say, but it was very good talking to you. And caution.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, bro.
Travel light, brother.
Travel light. Yeah, that was a pretty interesting question from the brother. And I think he said that the Haitians of Haiti, he may have to call back in and explain that to me. They go from 33 to 96. I believe that's on the primitive rites. In Masonry, we practice the primitive rites also, but it's not something that is connected to our Scottish rite. It is totally a separate rite within itself.
Okay. Because I obviously we go to 33 degrees. I know that Memphis Mizraim goes higher. Well, it's the same thing, except it's split differently, but I think they go to 99. Again, as I said, don't quote me on that because that's not my area of expertise. So, but I know that other rites go different ways. It's just apparently a way of splitting whatever you're learning in those degrees.
Yeah. So look, let me see what else we got here before. Does she have the pass of the? Uh, Somebody's asking, do you have the pass of the third degree? I'm gonna leave that alone. Uh, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave that one alone. But anyway, someone else says the poetic symbols of two. Yep, does not mean that a masonry is strictly male only in the aspect. It alludes to the sun as a cosmos. Okay. Someone was given an opinion in regard to the symbolism of two balls and a cane. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I've never seen it put quite that way. Never seen, yeah, not quite that way, but hey, you never know. So, Sister Natalie, I want to say thank you for coming on and paying my respects to you, not only as a sister, but as a past Grand Master of your jurisdiction. Greetings and blessings. Also, you got the last word going out. Talk back to me.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed speaking to some of your guests, listening to their comments, and I'm always happy to share. I can talk about Freemasonry for hours if I have to, or even if I don't. It's kind of a passion of mine. So, and I hope that it becomes everyone's passion because we need more Masons in this world, regardless of whether they're men, women, or anything in between.
My wife betted me $500 that I could not talk about masonry for a week. I couldn't take the bet. I couldn't take it. I honestly could not take the bet. I would have lost $500. She said, "Don't mention it. Don't talk about it for a week. I bet you $500." She knew that I wouldn't have been able to win that bet. She knew that. She was like, "That's easy money." And I'm trying to think. I would like to have that 500, but I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, no. Emil tried the same thing with me, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Not worth it.
Because I would imagine, just as myself, you talk to so many people all the time about it, especially when they find out that you're a Mason and being a female on top of that. And then even with myself, I talk to people about all the day long. I mean, it's consuming, but I enjoy the I enjoy it. You know,
Yeah,
everything that comes along with it.
me too. Me too. So thank you so much for having me. And please say hi to your lovely wife for me. We'll have to get together soon. And
He's up in Vacaville. Ducks.
Vacaville?
Yeah, that's where my son is at.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And now I don't
So,
know how it's from you,
so
because we often talk about going to Oakland and he'll go to San Francisco, which is another 45 minutes either way. So he was like, Dad, when you coming back up? So I may have to make a trip back up that way. I'm somewhat retired now, so I may have that little extra time to make that happen.
if you want to come to Lodge, let me know. Well, next meeting is an initiation, so, and women, so maybe not, I don't know, but
Hey, we'll talk. Don't you worry. We will talk. This won't be the last conversation by far.
no, no.
Not at all. Not at all. And with that being said, I want to say to everyone who came into the chat, thank you very much. I appreciate you, and looking forward to many more conversations with everyone that was in the chat, and especially my sister Natalie. I appreciate you, and definitely have a great day. And I'm going to be calling you later, okay?
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Everyone be safe, and definitely have a great and wonderful, where we at? Today is Monday. Have a great and wonderful week. There you go. Peace and be well to everyone.